welcome to our webcast for February. Today we will be looking at the membership reporting tool or tools because it covers a few elements of reporting. Now, I'm aware that every association has different reporting requirements, so I know that all of you will have different needs, and I will attempt to address as many of those as I possibly can in today's session and give you some real examples that you may be able to use in your reporting in your AO system. But please contact us in the survey or the question pane to any questions that you have that might be more relevant to you afterwards as well. But I certainly hope that from this session that you'll be able to start really getting some of that membership data that you're looking for. So what we're covering today is we'll be focusing mainly on, well, both reports and advanced reporting. So we'll start with some types of reports that you can run in Association Online. We'll look at the dashboard and what the dashboard reporting does, because there's often a lot of questions around, you know, what do these numbers mean? So I want to explain that in a bit more detail. I'm going to talk about archiving memberships as well and show you some of you may know it already, but that's okay. It's a good tip to archive your memberships to make sure that you keep your numbers as up to date as possible. And we'll look at some of the charts that you can pull up in the reports section in membership. The second part of training, we'll look at a bit more advanced reporting. So this is where I'll try and give you some examples of the report builders and building those reports you can save for future reference and export into a spreadsheet. So we'll look at exporting some more details as well, and then I'll give you some tips at the end, as well as, you know, where to access some of this information for future reference, because I think you will need to come back to this as well later on. So stay online so you can get all of that information today. So let's start with membership reports. So why do we need to report on memberships? There's a number of reasons. It could be based, you know, a lot of it is based around income and budgets for your association. It could be reporting on member activity, so how many members you have, how many members are engaging with your system, with your website. It could be mainly reporting to the board or the committee. You know, they want to know, what do our numbers look like? Or it could be to offer the best option or benefits for your members. And that comes back to a bit of member activity as well. What are the best things you can offer your members to engage them? Are you giving them the right options for membership types that they're assigning themselves to? Members are the reason you do what you do. They're your bread and butter. So it's really important that you are able to identify the best options for your members. So what kinds of data do we need to report on? Here's just some examples that I've pulled out. These, you know, are very limited. There's a lot more reasons, a lot more kinds of data that we need to pull, but there could be things such as retention rates, you know, how many members have you kept for the last 12 months? Current active members, the differences, you know, last month versus this month, differences in membership types. How many members within a company? Or how many expired members you have. Maybe you need to do a membership drive. So that's just an example, like I said, you know, there's a lot more data that you might need to pull out, but these are some starting points. Sorry, this screen is a little bit messy, but I'm going to cover this in more detail. The types of reports that you can run in Association Online. So we're looking at these 4 elements, the ones in blue on your screen. These are the types of reports we can run. And I've just given a little bit of an overview of what those reports do. So we'll start with the dashboard. The dashboard report is an overview of your numbers, basically. It's a snapshot of member or membership numbers. It includes all status of membership types in your current list, those that are not archived. So it doesn't matter whether they're active, they're expired, they're pending payment, they are not archived, therefore they're in the number list. I'll explain that in more detail shortly. The second type of reporting is from the membership reports section, which gives you a chart or a table. It is not exportable though, but it's a great little, again, snapshot view of what your memberships are doing. The report builder is that more advanced reporting. You can build and save your basic reports And this is a really good one to use to provide data to others. You know, this is what you can use to give to your committee or board to say, these are our numbers, these are our figures at the moment, which can be exported into a spreadsheet. And lastly, we have the Export Manager. This is where you can export more detail about your members. It's not just the numbers, it's just not just the names. You can export specific member or membership details. And you can save, some of you may not know this, but you can save the export profile as well. So you don't have to build it every single time. So that is just a snapshot. I'm going to explain each and show you as well, each one in more detail with some examples as well. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. Okay, step one. The first type of reporting is the dashboard. As I mentioned, a quick overview of member numbers by month. Now this dashboard cannot be edited. It is a set sort of hard-coded part of the system. It is, it's a brief look at how your users are interacting with your site as well as your site storage. So let's have a look at that in the back end. So I'm in my training site now, and to get to my dashboard, it may look different on different sites. On my particular site, I've got a top-level menu item called Dashboard, and when I click on it, it takes me to my dashboard. So you can see I have some overview figures on my screen here. If you don't have a section, some of you may have a section called Control Center or something like that. That is meant to do the same thing. If you're not sure where to access that information, in your top right-hand corner of your back end of your system or the administrative interface, there is a little cogwheel. If you see that little wheel, I don't know if it's called a cogwheel, I just call it that. This will actually link to your control center or your dashboard. So if you click on that, it takes you to your dashboard. So if you're not sure where it is on your site, just click on the little cogwheel in the top right-hand corner. So this is your overview, and you can see the list of current memberships here by year, the most recent on by month and year, the most recent month and year on top. Okay, so good little place to come and see an exact number, just a little number, just a figure. Now, obviously, my system is a training site, so I have very low membership numbers. Nobody wants to be a member of my training site. I've got all fake people that we're using for data today. Now, as I mentioned, just to be aware, these figures, this total memberships number, I know a lot of you have asked me in the past, but it doesn't match what my active members actually are. So I might have 21 in my list for January, but my active members were actually only 15. That is because your memberships, in your memberships list, it will include all of those sitting in the current list, whether they're active, expired, pending, resigned, etc. So this figure 21, if I click on the members, okay, so it takes me straight to my members list. Okay, you can see here it is displaying 21 members. Okay, so that's where that number is coming from. If I click on memberships, I think I've got 26 memberships in my list. And you can see in my list the statuses. If you have a look at the statuses here, I've got some active, some pending approval and payment, some pending payment. There's a cancelled one. So whatever numbers, whatever is displaying in this list is where those numbers on the dashboard are pulling from. So one of my recommendations is to archive your memberships. Okay, so making sure you keep your memberships up to date. So archiving, when I say you should archive your memberships, I mean archive any inactive memberships. Okay, I should be more specific there. So when should you archive your memberships? Okay, so it could be to auto archive a set time after they've expired. And there is a setting in your membership settings to say, please auto archive these memberships how many days after expiry, and you can set how many days after expiry you want them to be archived. Some people do it 12 months, some people it's 30 days. It's completely up to you. Otherwise, you can manually expire a membership, archive a membership when a member cancels or doesn't renew. You know that they're not going to renew, therefore you should archive their membership. Or when a member might go on leave from the association, they're going away for 2 years overseas, so they're not going to be a part of your association for a while. You can archive their membership. Now, the good thing about archiving is you can retrieve it and you can pull it back into that membership, back into the list. Okay, so if that member that goes on leave, they come back, you can bring them back. I'll show you how that works. So in the back end, I'm going to show you a little bit about archiving. Okay, so under memberships in the submenu on the left-hand side, we have a section called archives. And this is a full list of your archived memberships. Now, again, this is my training site, so I do have active memberships in my archive. They actually, because they are archived, they don't actually have access to anything on the website, but their membership status is still showing as active. Now, in your system, it's more likely that they would be cancelled, resigned, or expired, or inactive, depending on your status setup. But we have in the membership setup, I was going to show you, click on a membership type. Okay, so we're in my full membership type under details settings. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Here we are. It may not be the same on your settings, the order may be displayed differently, but you can see there's a field here called Archive Old Memberships. Tick. Archive days after expiry. So I've recommended that we archive this 365 days after expiry. That person's not going to renew anymore. They're gone, so they've expired. So this system, because of this setting, the system will automatically do that for you. Okay, so you may want to review your membership archive days in your system. Alternatively, let's go to our membership list and let's say, we'll use this example of Cookie Monster that cancelled his membership. Cookie Monster called, doesn't want to be a member of the association anymore. That's a bit of a shame, but it does happen. He decides, well, can you cancel my membership? You go into his membership, you can click on it and change the status to cancelled, put a note, obviously put a note in his membership first. Cookie called, wanted to cancel his membership, change it to cancelled. Now, rather than leaving it, it's gone down to the bottom, rather than leaving it in the membership list, you could then archive it. We know Cookie Monster's not coming back anytime soon. Let's move him on. So you can select that membership. I'll just scroll back to the top of my list. There's a little filing cabinet at the top of your list. Okay, that will archive any selected memberships manually. Then it asks you, are you sure you want to archive it? Yes, I do. Thank you. Off he goes. He's gone into the archives. It's removed any membership access groups that he's a part of. He no longer has access to that stuff on the website. But you can go to the archive section and you can select and restore an archived membership. There's a little restore button at the top. So if someone Cookie Monster does come back after 6 months, he goes, actually, I do want to be a part of a member of your association. You don't need to create a new membership. You can restore his membership and renew it from there. So that is just a recommendation from us to say, to keep your numbers up to date for your dashboard and clean, make sure you archive any memberships that are no longer relevant in your list. So that was the dashboard. The second way of reporting in membership module is using the reports section where you can see your numbers in a chart or table format. This has recently been updated. It was in our latest newsletter. It will be in our latest newsletter as well. But just so you know, it used to be as of about 3 weeks ago, you needed to have an Adobe Flash, updated Flash in order to view these membership reports. That is no longer the case. So if you are having any problems with your Flash updates on your browser, you no longer need it to see these report charts. So that's really a positive thing. Okay, so to see those reports, the report charts, you go to Members and Reports in the submenu. Excellent. So I'm getting nothing on my screen. This may happen to you. And the reason is because I have to set my criteria on the right-hand side. What kind of a report am I pulling up? It doesn't just automatically come up. I need to select one. In the drop-down list, I can pull out a report of number of memberships, current memberships, or memberships by state or type. I'll just do numbers first and I'll show you how that works. We have a chart option and then a table format. Okay, so it's chart by default and then you can flick to table if you wish to. And over in the right-hand side, we can select our criteria. So let's change the date. I want to say, let's say I want to know how many memberships we've got from the 1st of January this year to today by month. Let's have a look at that. So you've got some options here. You can set it to automatic. I think that's by month, a year, month, or day. Let's just see what auto does. And then we can set the statuses. So what statuses are we going to run this on? I just want to know maybe active. I don't need to know if there are any pending or cancelled, etc. And there's a run report button at the bottom. Auto is, okay, depending on how you can see my dates at the bottom. From the 1st of January, it's gone up in about 4-day increments. Okay, so I think it depends on the amount of time that you have set there. So I might change that to by month run. That's a bit better. There you go. So it's run these memberships by type. So it's put the type of memberships into colors there. So you can see most of my memberships are full memberships and they're pretty much the same month by month here. I might change my date back to 2017 and do it by year. Let's have a look at that. Run report. Oh, you can see there's a big difference between last year, January last year, and February this year, January this year, sorry. Okay, so we've had some activity there and some increase in membership types. I'm going to show you that in the table format. So if I click on table, it just gives me a table by membership type, numbers listed. Okay, what else can we do? You can choose, let me have a look at current memberships by type. So by type, this particular option removes the date filter because it's current. It's saying, what is it as of now? And I'm going to choose active and by type. It's going to choose do it by type by default and it puts it in a pie chart. Okay, so you can see it in a pie chart. So there's different chart options you have here. I know some of you online may be really great chart visual people, so charts might really suit you. Then we have memberships by state or type, so then you can select your states and type of memberships as well and run the report. I've only selected one type of membership, so you can do that. Okay, there's some different options. So there's a variety of charts you can pull up there, so it really is dependent on what information you want to see. And that's great. It's a great quick snapshot visual to see what it looks like. However, it cannot be exported into a spreadsheet. Okay, it's not exportable. So, you know, again, if you like charts, you want to see what it looks like, great. But what if you need to report that to the board or committee? You need to give them something to look at. You could always take a screenshot and send it to them. Or we can then go to the next level of building a report, which is using the report builder. So I love this. I'm not usually a numbers person, but I absolutely love Report Builder. It gives you a really great detail on those numbers and dates and names of people, of members by type, by price, pricing option. You can break it down into lots of different data. So let's have a look at some of those report builders. Let's have a look. So under reports in membership, we have Report Builder. You might find that there's some reports that are already in your system. Somebody else may have saved with them before. You may have actually played with it and saved a report. There are some standard ones that are in the system. You can actually delete them, select and the rubbish bin if you don't like those reports. You can add new ones, clicking on the plus sign, and you can click into the reports and edit the reports. Okay. Now I'm going to go through a few report options in detail. Let's have a look at a few ways that we can report on data. And I'd love for you all to make a note of some of these selections that I make that might suit you. If you think, actually, that's the kind of report I need, write down what report type I used, what filter options I used, and how I grouped it. So you can go straight from this session, go into your system, and go and start building those reports and saving them. So they're all done. Okay, so let's start with a couple of report options. I'm going to create new ones from scratch. Let's go and add a report. Okay, so there's a standard filter options that are already in here. So it's already pulling up data for me without me actually having to choose any options in the settings. Okay, so in the left-hand side, we have our settings box where you select what data you want to pull out of the system. And on the right-hand column, we have our results and an export button, which you can export into a spreadsheet. Let's start with some of the settings. Let's have a look at what we're pulling out. And I'm going to do a really basic report to start with. Let's say I want to report based on active members, active memberships by type for the last 12 months. I want a full list of each membership by type for the last 12 months. Let's have a look. So my report type might be a count. I want a number. Select from members or memberships, so you can get the full list of members or the list of memberships. Now you can filter based on the type of membership you like or all of them. And this will display not only the type of membership, but the pricing options within that membership. So if you have a tiered pricing options in your membership types where you've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, you know, overseas, international, there's a variety of pricing options you could have. You can choose from those specific pricing options as well. Okay, but I'm just going to say all of my membership types. Status. Now this one, I want to know how many active members I have for the last 12 months. By state, you can, select a relevant state that's in your system. And then how do we want to view the results? There's two ways for this particular report. We can view it as numbers, or we can get a list of names. Now, usually, sometimes the board do want a full list of names as well, but in this case, we're just going to say, give me the numbers. I just want to know how many. How are we going to group it? Do we want to group it based on the type of membership, the pricing option, the status, or the state? I'm going to choose type. I want to know how many for each type of membership I've had for the last 12 months. Okay. Frequency, so is it based on the financial year, calendar year, month, week, or day? So you can base it, I'm going to say by year, and for the last 12 months, 6 months, 3 months. You have a huge amount of options here. Okay, so I'm going to say this year, or you could say last 12 months. Now this report, I wanted the active memberships by type for the last 12 months and click run. There's a save as button here. So if you save, this is a report you're going to run on a regular basis. Rather than building that every single time, you can save your report. This is what I was saying, write down the filter options and go and save your reports ready to go. So for this one's the active members last 12 months, whatever you want to call it. And in the right-hand column, I can see my list here. We've got as of 31st of December, these were the numbers we had for each membership type. Excellent. I can then export that into a spreadsheet. So if I click export results, I can save it for last 12 months. You've got to name it first, Feb 2018, and export. If this is a common occurrence, if your system is not opening it into a spreadsheet, it may choose firstly to open it in a TSV file or a CSV file. You will need to save it and then open it up using Excel. So there's some settings you'll need to do in your browser specifically. And then next time you go and click on the export results option, it will then open in Excel from then on. So the first couple of times you may have to just change those settings in your particular browser. Okay, so there's my report. So you can then turn that into a chart or a graph or whatever you want to do to send it to the board. Okay, there's my new report, and you can see who the creator of the report is as well. So whoever the administrator is that developed or built that report initially. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. Let's find remember one of the things that you may be looking for your membership counts is the difference. Member retention is really important. So you want to know what's the difference between now and 6 months ago in our member numbers, for example. You can do that. Let's have a look at that. So instead of count report, I'm going to create a difference report, this time on members. I want to know how many members, active members, we had from the last 6 months by membership type. Okay, so if my filter options here are the difference report, selecting from the members. On the status of active, I'm choosing all types of membership, up to you. Oh, let's do one. On full membership, let's see what the difference is on our particular full membership type that are active anywhere in Australia, and I want numbers of members for the last 6 months. So on the right-hand column, you can see this is my full membership. From 27th of August in 17, I had 3. Now I've got 13. So the difference is 10. Only on the first date we had 1 difference. What's this? Both dates 2 difference. Only the last date was 11. That's a little more confusing. I find those numbers a little hard. Only first date. Oh, 1 person that was the same, different on the first, but for both there were 2 differences, and only the last date had 11 added. Okay, then you can export that into a spreadsheet as well. I personally just like these numbers, so difference of 10. Keep it simple. Okay, so that's a difference report. Okay, what's the difference for the last 6 months? We've got a plus 10. If it is a minus, it would say minus 10. So if you had 13 then 3, it would say you've got a negative 10 number. Okay, I'm going to not save that one. I'm going to create a new one, just as a third report option. I'm going to use the state. So let's do a count report on active members in Victoria. And I'm going to do a list of names. I want to know who are the people that are active members in Victoria. Let's see, when I selected list of names, you see my options underneath in the settings just changed. Instead of numbers, it's saying on the day. What day, on this particular day, what were the list of names of active members in Victoria? Okay, and there's your list. Beautiful. Okay, so that's another example. It's got to be a count report. Even though it's a list of names, it's still a count, and we've got a list of member names active in Victoria. And you can do it based on any particular date in the system. So that's just a really snapshot overview. You can, again, I've only covered 3 reports there, but you can see the endless possibilities of the kinds of reports you can pull out of here. The difference reports, the count reports based on type, based on membership, based on members. So my recommendation is thinking first, what information do you need to pull out, and then going through those settings and filtering those options to get your real true numbers. Okay. What if you want to choose what specific information in the report, not just the numbers, the list of names, the membership types? What if you want to know how many members belong to a specific company, or you know, you might have a specific field in your sign-up forms that you need to report on. You need to use Export Manager to do that. Some of you may be familiar with Export Manager, some may not. It's something that I often go through in training, so I'd love to show you this today as well. So if you want to report on specific information or details about the membership, you need to use the membership list and then click on the export button. I'm going to give you a couple of examples now. One of the examples I might have that comes up frequently is that people want to know the names of the primary contacts for all current active members. Who are the primary people as part of that membership? Or it could be a list of all expired memberships for the past 12 months and the details of the members who have expired. Okay, so there's a couple of options there. In order to do that, we need to filter the list first and then export. So I'm going to go to my members list first. Let's look at that. These are the people that are attached to a membership. So we have the filter options up the top that you can use to filter this list of, I've only got 21, but you may have thousands. Okay, so what are we trying to pull out of here? I want to know all of the active members, so I'll remove any other filter options for status that are the primary contact, not just a member of my full memberships, and search. There we go. I have a result of 11 members that are full membership, active, and the primary contact. When you scroll to the bottom of the list, there is an export button, the lovely little orange export. You're happy with that list, that filter results, then you can go to the export manager. Okay, what we need to do first is build our export profile before we can run it. Sorry if I'm repeating myself for some people who know how to use Export Manager, but it's a great little refresher. You may pick up another tip. Up the top, we have saved exports. So the Export Manager, just like Report Builder, allows you to save your reports. Okay, so we can save our export profile without having to build it every single time. You can just select it from a drop-down list. I haven't got one yet. I will save this one in a moment. And you can select it from the drop-down list and click on Run and not have to go through that process. So again, if you can see an example report you'd like to pull out, please go and do this after training today and after this webcast, and go and save your export profiles for future reference. Once you've got, if you're creating a new profile, we need to set our export settings. There's some options here. Because I'm pulling this from members, my members list, I choose from these export types. If you only want to pull up members details, which is coming from the contact database, member and company details, or membership, member and company. Okay, so the default option is member details, but I'm going to choose membership, member and company today because I want to pull in information about all of that. What it does is it changes the field options below, so it offers a lot more detail for you to pull into the spreadsheet. Then we have the export format. Are we exporting it as just as a CSV file, which is often used for then updating and importing back into Association Online, or are we going to just pull it into a spreadsheet, which is CSV for MS Excel? Now the run type is selected as run in background, which is our recommended option because you may have lots and lots of data. If you have a large report and you run it in your browser, it won't allow you to do anything else in the system while it's running because it may take a little while to run. So our recommendation is if you have a lot of data that you're pulling out of here, you know, hundreds, thousands, however many rows it will be, please do run in background. The system will send you an email when it's done, when it's ready, and you can click on that email to open up your report. And that means you can still do work in the Association Online backend while it's running. So run it in the background. I'm going to live a different way. I've got to go against the rules and run it in my browser for today's training purposes, but normally we'd run it in the background. Okay, so we then select what fields do we want to pull out of the system. So there's a lot of options in here. I'm not going to explain them all, up to you, and it's all different depending on your setup on your system. So I might say, I just want to know all of the primary contacts. So I might bring up their membership ID, not the member details. We can see there's a bunch of member information there. That's coming from the database fields. Okay, here we go. I want to know membership type, what pricing option they've chosen, primary contact's first name, primary contact's last name, and email. Maybe the company name as well. Who do they belong with? All right, then we can see membership information and company details at the bottom if you need it. Now I could just click on Run Export there, but I wanted to save this profile. Remember, we can save our profiles. So instead of me rebuilding that every single time and looking through all the fields, you can actually click on the Save button in the toolbar at the top. So it was current active primary contacts was the name of my profile. Okay, so now it's displaying in the drop-down list at the top in the Load Export Profile area. It's also opened up my toolbar at the top. You can see they're in color now. I can edit the profile, save it, save as, create a new one, or delete it. Okay, so you can delete profiles once done. Something else about these export profiles that you may wish to know is that you can move these fields around. So if you want them to display in a different order in your spreadsheet that you pull out, you can actually click and drag using the green arrows and move the fields into a different order. Okay, so you may want that information in a different order. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and run my export. Okay, there we go. I've got a full list of all the primary contacts, their email addresses, and the company they belong to for full memberships. Okay. So that was one example of some of the member details you can pull out in Export Manager. Oh, I'll go back to the top. I'm going to show you one more. This is a really handy one. I find that it's a relevant export to run. You want to know how many memberships have expired in the last 12 months. How many are still sitting as expired? Maybe you need to do a membership drive. Remind people that their membership have expired. They've forgotten. They just forgot to renew. So therefore you can then filter your membership list. I want to find all of my members that have just expired, and the expiry date was from, let me pick a date, this year. Hopefully I've got some, I'm not sure. Search, I haven't got any there. Okay, we'll do from last year. Let's say pull up those that have expired in the last 12 months. I've got 2. That's great. I don't have much work to do, but you may have hundreds, you may have thousands. It will be interesting to see what results you would get. Let's pull that into a spreadsheet. Let's get the details of all of those people that have expired, because we want to do some membership drive. Okay, so just as before, it's taken me to Export Manager when I click Export, and this time, if you look at my export type, I've got more information to pull from. Because it's based on membership, not members, I can actually just pull membership details or member details, member and company, membership member and company, or include the sign-up form fields as well. Sometimes you have special fields in your sign-up forms that are those blue fields. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about with blue fields, we may need to cover that next week when we do membership setup next month. No, in 2 months, sorry. When we do membership setup or review the membership tutorial videos. But those blue fields means that, yeah, you can actually pull information relevant to those specific fields only. You may have a special reporting requirement around those particular sign-up form fields. Okay, so then again, you select what details you want to pull up. I want to pull up expiry date, type, membership type, primary contact, first name, last name, email, company name. Not sure what other information you might want to pull out of there, but you can see there's a lot of options down here. And these are all the blue field forms that are relevant to sign up, or additional info forms that are listed there as well. And then we can pull that into a spreadsheet. There we go. So your board or committee may say, give me a full list of members that have expired and haven't renewed for the last 12 months. There you go. That's how you do it. Filter your list first and then select export and pull the data out. So just in this, just as a reminder, and I'm keeping this as a record for you all after today, steps to create the export is to filter the members or membership list, click on the export button, select the export type, select the fields to export, run it, and then save it for next time. Okay, and you open it up in a spreadsheet. So that's all for reporting options. It's probably a minefield of information for you all. So hopefully you do go away with some additional information to pull in some of that data that you're looking for. But some of my tips for effective reporting is, one, identify what type of reports are required first. If you know what you're trying to pull out of the system, it makes it easier to put that information into Association Online. 2, select the best report type to use. Do you just need a chart? Do you need a table of information? Do you need to pull it into a spreadsheet? Or do you need to grab all of those details about the member as well? What's the best report type to use? 3, archive all old memberships or cancelled memberships as soon as possible to keep your data clean and up to date. 4, set up and save regular reports in your report builder so you don't have to do it every single time. It's already there for you. You just have to run the export and it will update. And 5, set up and save those regular exports in your export manager as well. Okay, so save those export profiles. So in summary, we've covered the types of reports you can build, ways to report on membership data in Association Online with your different reporting options, some tips and tricks, and away you go. Further resources for you from today. There are some, I don't know if all of you are aware, but we do have some membership tutorials available in our client support portal. So for those that are on the support portal, please go and check those out. I'm going to show you where to find that right now. I've also uploaded this presentation to our membership section in the documentation area, so I'll show you where to access that too. I think this presentation may assist you as well. Let me go into that. Here we go. So this is our client support portal. For those who haven't seen it yet, there would be a sign in button on the right hand side. If you do not have a login, there is, when you go to sign in, it will say request a login, so you can request that from our office manager. But once you are signed in, there is a section called videos. Okay, so this is where all of our webcasts are stored, and on the right hand side, our membership videos. So there is actually a section on building reports. We also have in Association Online documentation, okay, under the user guide for members, at the bottom I've added the membership reporting PowerPoint for today. Okay, so that's sort of just as a guideline for you if you do need to go back over it. If you're like, how did she build those reports again? I need some examples. It's in there. Or you can watch this webcast back if you wish. Okay, so hopefully you do have something to take away with you today. Our next webcast we're running is the 27th of March on Moodle integration. So for those that use the e-learning module, e-learning tool of Moodle, how it can integrate with our events module, we'll go through a bit of an overview on that. And on the 17th of April, which kind of goes a little bit in hand with what we did today, we're looking at the membership setup. So a little bit more information around those settings and what impact those settings have on your membership types. So now we'll cover off any questions you have. So I'll thank you.